So thanks a lot for coming back to this video. Uh, we watched other videos about SQL, so we did the installation, we did the update, we installed SQL Management Studio, and now it's time to start looking at Configuration Manager side. So we need to prepare SQL for Configuration Manager. And remember on 2 videos ago when we did the installation of the SQL, that we had the option to configure the SQL memory, so minimum and maximum. And I left this for later because I didn't want to show you only during the installation, because later on you could change the memory, so increase or decrease the memory, and you need to adapt it to the memory. So this is where we are going now to see one of many configurations we are going to see in this video on how to prepare the SQL for Configuration Manager. So the first thing is, on this page, the documentation, Configuration Manager size and performance guidelines, if we scroll down, we're going to see here general sizing guidelines. We already saw this in terms of number of CPU, memory, but one of the things I didn't show, guys, was the memory allocation for SQL. And you can see here for primary site, with the database on the same server, we recommend, or Microsoft recommends, about 65% of the memory of the server be allocated for SQL. In a remote server, we're going to be about 70%. So if you have, let's say, 16 gig, 7% of 16 gig will be X. So that it will be the memory allocation for SQL. But you don't need to remember this, because remember, I have this spreadsheet that's already telling me how much memory I need to allocate. So I have here the minimum and the maximum. So it's going to be 10 gig, around 10 gig minimum, and about 13 gig the maximum memory. So, and how we do this on the server. So here on the server, I will open the SQL Management Studio. So again, SQL Management Studio does not need to be installed on the SQL server. It could be a remote server, and you can do this all remotely. I prefer to have this local because it's quite faster, and we don't need to have problem with firewall and so on, networking stuff. So this is the first thing we need to do, is configure the memory. So while it's opening here, the SQL Management Studio, just don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this content with your friends and colleagues, so maybe someone that's starting will learn how to play all those things with Configuration Manager. And it's always good to learn anyway. So if you don't know anything, you always grab some extra information. So here on the SQL Management Studio, let's connect. On the server we want to manage, so server 02. So what I'm going to do is right-click the server and go Properties. And here in the properties, we have option memory. And you can see here we have server memory options, minimum and maximum. Minimum is 0. Basically, it's going to start with the minimum memory you can use, and it's going to increase the maximum memory you can use. This is, I think, it's about 2 terabytes. So in your case, we are going to limit this to 10 meg or 10 gig and about 13 gig. So this is the minimum and maximum. We will just not allow the whole thing. And I will click here, OK. Now what's going to happen is the SQL will start using then 10 gig of memory. It doesn't mean that if you open Task Manager, you're going to see here SQL already using 10 gig. No, it's just telling that as required, it will start using the minimum of 10 gig and maximum of 13 gig. The second thing we need to make sure is on the existing databases, we don't have, mainly TemplDB, we don't have a maximum growth of the file. So if you go to right-click TemplDB properties and you go Files, you can see here the auto growth is unlimited. So basically is we are going to grow as much as possibly can. But if I open here or disk, we don't have enough disk size. We have like 126 gig here on our environment. If you look at the 25,000 environment, what we are going to have at maximum will be probably around 320 gig for data, and we are going to have 91 gig for TempDB. In total, there is going to be about 106 gig for logs. So for logs, we are good, but for data, we are not, because we don't have just enough disk. So we need, of course, I'm looking here not a production environment. I'm looking for a lab environment, so it's going to be really small environment. So 106 gig, 107 gig is more than enough. But even though if I don't have a management of those files, they are going to increase. So in this case here, I'm going to put the auto growth to grow about a gig. Oops. And they are going to be limited. And they're going to be limiting in megabytes. So let's say 40 gig. So 40 gig will be 40 times 1024. So it's going to be 4960 megabytes. So I'm limiting this specific file to 40 gig. And then I have other 3 files that I'm going to do the same. So I don't want to use everything. Of course, in a real environment, I would be limiting this to different values. For example, if I bring here again the calculator, TempDB will be for 25, maximum of 42 in size per file. So I don't need to have more than 40 gig. In my environment here, if I would have put, let's say, 10 gig, would be more than enough. So let's change this to 10 gig, but each file is going to be 10 gig and 1024 in size to increase. And the last one is a temp. So let's do exactly the same. Again, if you look at the calculator, it is going to show you the right sizing for your environment, for 5K, for 10K, 25, 50, 150, and so on and so forth. And now the files are now configured. So we need to do this for the TempDB, and then later on we are going to do this for the configuration manager. We are going to do this for the reporting. Okay? So now the next configuration we need to do, because we are using the SQL for with a service account, we need to configure the SPN for the database server. So these normally do not get automatically created because we are using a service account, and we will need to do this manually. So the way we are going to do is going to use this software here, the set SPN, and we are going first to list that service account. So where the SPN is configured. So I'm going to open here a command prompt as administrator, and we're going to use the set SPN -L, and this is the account name. If you don't know the account name that we use, just open services. And here on the services, let's go to the SQL server. You can see here MS SQL server, that's our instance. And you can see here in the logon as the account that's being used. Maybe it wasn't you that installed, so I'm just going to copy that and use it here. So set SPN -L emsvc_SQL. And then I just click enter. And you can see here there is no registered SPN for this account. So we do need to register the SPN for this account. And on exactly the same article from Microsoft, we have here the creation for the set SPN for a NetBIOS as well as for the FQDN. So we need to do both options, NetBIOS and FQDN. The only thing is going to change is the computer name. One is going to be NetBIOS and the other one is going to be the FQDN. So I just copy there and paste here. So set SPN-A MS SQL SVC dash. So this is the name of the computer. In your case here, we have server 02. If you don't know, just go to Windows Explorer, this PC, right-click Properties. And you're going to see here computer name and full computer name. So we have SRV002 and the port. The port is 1433. How do we know? If we open here on the Microsoft SQL 2019, SQL SQL 2019 Configuration Manager, we already saw this in a couple of videos back. We go to SQL Server Network Configuration protocols for the instance we're dealing with, MS SQL Server, TCP, and just go to IP address and you can see here TCP port. So we can see here is exactly the same port for everything. So 1433. So we are going to use this port as 1433. And the account that we just tested, so EM_SVC_SQL. And press enter. It register. Remember, the account you are using needs to have the rights. If your account doesn't have rights, then you may need to contact the Active Directory guy or someone else with the rights. And we're going to do exactly the same, but now with the FQDN. And if we go back here, server 2, on the computer properties, you can see here full computer name is server2.endpointmanagers.com. endpointmanagers.com, and now is also registered. To double check, let's use the set SPN-L, and now we should see that both are registered. So we can see here that both of them are registered. So we changed the memory, we changed the disk for the TMPDB, and also we change the SPN. So the configuration for Configuration Manager is get into shape. We are almost there to be able to start installing Configuration Manager. But the next time that we see, we are going to start creating the database. But it's not going to have time for today. It's going to be on the next video. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. It will help the channel to grow, and it will help you and your friends, work colleagues, to learn more about Configuration Manager. I hope to see you on the next video.